Hiya and welcome to session 2. Okay, so those of you who were really good last week and you've been doing your diet diary, go and get it, all right? You can press your pause for a second and then come back, go and get your diet diary, let's have a look at it. So those of you who didn't do it, I would say give it a go because it actually brings home to you what your eating habits are like. So don't worry about anybody else. Remember, you don't have to show it to anybody else, but it really helps you to understand what you're eating, when you're eating it and why you're eating it, okay? So that's putting ownership back on you to take control of how you eat, all right? Which is really important. So we're not looking for that magic pill. Like I say, it doesn't exist. Simple as that. It just does not exist. We have to actually do some hard work and we've got to crack on and take ownership of our eating habits. Right, so we've got our diet diary and we're going to look at it. The first thing that we're going to do is scan across and see, do we have breakfast every day? I know from speaking to a lot of you over my studies that you do eat breakfast and you probably have oats, maybe adding a bit of fruit or honey or that kind of thing, or you might have some fortified cereal and you mix it up a little bit and looking at whole grain cereals, okay? So if you don't already do that, that's a really good start to the day. You could even do, maybe a little bit of scrambled egg and add into that, maybe a bit of tomatoes, maybe a little bit of cooked meats or mushrooms or something like that. And again, that's a fantastic start to the day with one slice of wholemeal, whole grain, seeded bread with that, okay? So you can start with the cereal type of breakfast. The beta glucan in the oats is fantastic for reducing, helping to reduce cholesterol. So that's always good to get your beta glucan in earlier in the day. That's fabulous. We get it from other fibre sources of food as well, but oats are that one of the easiest sources for us to get hold of and use. Okay, so breakfast, really important. So if you don't already consume breakfast, try and get it in there. I know for some of you, some people say it makes you feel sick first thing and what have you. It doesn't have to be first thing. It needs to be the first meal of the day, which means that you could get up, have, a cup or two of coffee or tea or something like that before you're ready to have breakfast. That's fine. And it's called breakfast because it's breaking the fast of the overnight fast that you've just done. So you haven't eaten since, your evening meal and you've slept and gone all the way through, so breaking that fast is the best thing you can do. I've heard people say in the past if they wanted to lose weight, they didn't eat breakfast because if they ate breakfast, then they felt hungry for the rest of the day. Well, that's a good thing. I'll explain why. Okay, because once you've broken that fast and your body's got that food in, you imagine that your body's like a steam train, okay? And so you've put that first fuel in to get you generated and get you going. Now, once you're going, then you need to refuel throughout the day to keep you going, okay? So that's a good thing. So it's what we put into our bodies for the rest of the time that's going to make the difference, isn't it? It's going to give us that boost of energy that we need to keep us going, get our metabolism boosted and keep us healthy, all right? So breakfast, really important. The next thing you're going to do is have a look at your diet diary, and I'm looking down at my table, so I've got one, I haven't. Okay, so get your diet diary, have a look at it. First of all, have a look if there's any gaps, okay? Have we skipped breakfast? Have we skipped our evening meal? Have we skipped our lunch? Lunch is quite often one that gets left out. If you're busy, you're doing things, you think, oh, it's okay, I'll have an early evening meal or something like that. Now, guaranteed that if you miss a meal, be it breakfast, be it lunch, be it your evening meal, you will make up for it. Okay, your body will make up for that at some stage. Now, whether that means it has you rushing to the cupboard for the biscuits, after your tea, you're nibbling all evening, you get the munchies on. Okay, that's just your body's way of telling you need to refuel, all right? And it's learned that by giving you the signals and telling you to go and get whatever it is to eat, you might make yourself a sandwich and think, oh, well, that's good, but ideally we spread your food out during the course of the day when your body needs that energy the most, okay? So it's about energy in, energy out, all right? Now, it's a really simplistic thing to say that, the amount of calories you consume, the amount of calories you burn, as long as they're balancing out, your weight is going to maintain the same. Now, that isn't the same for everybody, okay? I realise that we all come with our own sort of set of health conditions, stages in our lives, our gender, hormonal imbalances, all these different things. But in its simplistic terms, energy in, energy out, energy balance, and that's what we want to achieve. Okay, but within that energy balance, it's really important. It's like with your workouts, okay? It's the quality of what you're doing that's going to make the difference. So you can survive on less calories every day and be maintaining your weight, but those calories you're consuming may not be the best quality. So I think of food as a currency. Each day you've got an amount to spend, okay? So the big bank of body gives you an amount of calories that you need to spend every day, and that is determined by how much energy that you're using. So if you're using more energy, then technically you've got more money to spend to repay that energy that you've used up. So let's say, for example, just a really rough guide, say 1400 calories a day. Now, each person has what's called a basic metabolic rate, and that's the amount of calories your body needs just to let you survive. Okay, so if you was to lie down, all right, your body needs this amount of calories just to, for your lungs, for your brain, kidney function, liver function, all the different functions in your body, you need a certain amount of calories. And there's an equation to working that out. If you want me to do that for you, you can email me. And what I need is your height, your weight, your age, your gender, and I can work it out from that. So it's you, whoever you are, okay? So whether you're big or small or whatever, you've got an individual one. Now, this basic metabolic rate is just that while you're doing nothing. As soon as you start moving around, getting up in the morning, getting showered, changed, tidying up the house, wandering off to the shops or going for a walk, you're expending energy, you're using energy. So your activity levels during the week will determine how much we increase on top of this basic metabolic rate. So, for an example, if somebody works out 2 to 3 times a week and they're generally active during the day, pottering around doing this, that and the other, then we're probably times your metabolic rate, that we've got your basic metabolic rate, by about 1.2 or 1.4, and then we get an amount of calories that is tailored more for you, all right? So I said I didn't really want to get into calorie counting, but it's just a really useful bit of information for you. I mean, we've got apps now you can put on your phone, MyFitnessPal, for example. Some of you've probably used that over and over again, but you can manipulate that a little bit, so you've got to be careful that you're giving it all the right information. So we work out your basic metabolic rate, we times it by your activity levels, and that gives you an area. It's not set in stone, an area that you can gauge for of how many calories that you actually need to consume. So let's pretend it's about 1400 calories. Okay, so that's how much currency I've got to spend every day. So I've got 1400. Now, if I was to choose to have double whammy for my breakfast on my oats, I've added my milk, I've added a little bit of honey to that, okay, so that's quickly eating up some of my calories, and again, another rule of thumb is like, say, 400 calories for breakfast, 4 for your lunch, 4 for your evening meal, and then you've got a couple of hundred floating in between that, okay. The recommended intakes for males and females are females around about 1900 calories a day, males about 2500 calories a day. That's worked out on a 70 kilo man who's like the that's what is used to give us the recommended guidelines. Okay, so everybody's different from that to that. All right, so if I ate 2000 calories every day, then I'd certainly be gaining weight. Other people, that might make them lose weight, okay? So it is one of those things, and the only way that you can judge it is by knowing what you're eating at the minute, okay? So again, we can look at that if you wanted to do that in more detail. But as a more generalised thing, let's look at your eating pattern, All right, so we'll go back to that diet diary. Now, in my pretend diet diary in front of me that I keep looking at, we've got, maybe I've had a packet of crisps there. I've skipped my lunch the day after because I was really busy, and then in the evening I've had my main meal, and then I've had a dessert after it because I was still hungry, and then maybe some nibbles later on. Okay, so it's looking at what your eating pattern is and thinking to yourself, is this normal for me? Is this normally what I do? All right. And you've got to be really honest and open with yourself. And if that is normally what you do, you think, okay, so the simplest way of changing that, is thinking, let's get regular meals in. The best way to do that is to think about planning ahead. So you use your diet diary then to say, okay, so next week, you can do it on one, A4 piece of paper, and you write Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday across the top, breakfast, lunch, dinner, or breakfast, dinner, tea, whatever you call it, down the side here, okay? And plan what you're going to have for your breakfast, okay, every day. Plan what you're going to have for your lunches, and plan what you're going to have for your evening meal. So once you've set those in, and of course it's your plan, all right, so you know what fits in with what you're doing on each different day. And then look at that plan again and think again now, how balanced is that? We want to try and reduce any sort of bacon, sausages, cooked meats, ham, chicken, salamis, whatever, cooked meat, the processed meats. We want to reduce those if we can. So maybe having something like a tuna sandwich or a chicken sandwich or even an egg sandwich. Okay, so just choosing different things. It's okay to have the ham and things a couple of days, but it's so easy to get, just the wafer thin ham that it's processed. Okay, so we're trying to reduce that. So if you've cooked some meat yourself, or you're getting, the better quality meats, have a go with those, all right, and see if we can change it around. Because remember, for processed meats, it's about 70 grams a day that's your limit, all right? And so we try and reduce the amount of those that we're having, because it's really, really easy just to have a fridge full of those, and you think, okay, that looks nice, I'm just going to have this ham with my salad and things, and it's okay, but not every day. Okay, we try and change that. We try and mix it up a little bit. And you don't have to have meat at every meal either if you don't want to. We're going to add in different things as we go through this for you to try out. Okay, so when you've planned out what you're going to eat, then again, look at the portion sizes of what you're having. We don't want to reduce them too small so that you're going to be starving. So let's be realistic about this. If you're like me, I say I've got greedy eyes, okay? If I look at a plate and it's got a little bit of food on, I know already I'm going to be hungry in an hour, all right? So for my eyes, I need my plate to be quite substantial to know that I'm having something to eat. So the way to do that is bulking it up with salads or vegetables, and bulking it out that way. Adding in, like the mixed beans into a salad, absolutely wonderful. Okay, mix it in with your tomatoes, cucumber, a tin of mixed beans, rinse it, drain it, put that in there, add that in, absolutely wonderful. Very filling, packed with fibre, packed with protein, wonderful to add in there, okay? So obviously if you've got special dietary needs, if you have IBS and things like that, you've got to work within your guidelines. So I'm not saying, ditch all the rules, because I know for myself who suffers with IBS that, little and often is the key, rather than having, a massive amount of fibre all in one go. But I know what I can have and what I can't, so I know what to bulk my plate up with, okay? So go back to it again, refresh. You're looking at your diet from this week. You're picking up any habits that you've picked up along the way that you think, well, actually, I could change that, okay? If it's only one thing, that's okay. That's okay. We go with I always have followed the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time your diet is fantastic. 20% of the time it's not. So we need something in there. My thing, as many of you know me, is a little tipple of red wine, okay, over the weekends. And I like my tipple of red wine. And so I'm happy to be better on other things so that I can still have that, Okay, so it is a trade-off. Like you say, you've got this currency to spend, and if you spent it on one thing, you haven't got it for something else. If you've overspent on one day, you need to draw it back on the other day, so that over a week you're balanced in act, okay, and your currency and the amount of money you've got to spend, your budget, stays within that budget. So if you overdo it on one day, you need to underdo it on the other day, because you've got that budget that's going to last you, you know, each day for a whole week, and so on. So once you've identified those things in that diet diary, then we move on and we plan for the following week. The thing with planning is it takes away that, oh gosh, what do we have for tea today? I don't know, I can't think, I'm absolutely starving, right? I'm just going to have such and such a thing. If you've planned it, you can shop for it, okay? You can prepare it. If you need to prepare anything the day before so that it's easy for you. Sometimes I like to make a meal, say spaghetti bolognese, and it might last me a couple of days. I do the same, you know, with chili. Again, might last 2 or 3 days. So the first day I'll have chili and rice. The second day I might have chili with homemade wedges in the oven, okay? And then the third day I might use the rest of it in tortilla wraps and make some, you know, sort of enchiladas, April's version of enchiladas, and wrapped up in the soft flour wraps, pop it in the oven, bit of grated cheese on top, made another meal. Okay, so it's just like, you know, some people don't like to have the same thing day after day. I don't mind, luckily for me. Lee doesn't mind, so we do that, and you know, it's sorted out a few days, it's cheap, it's easy, and it's ready prepared, isn't it? And you've ready prepared it, not ready prepared from the shop. So you're in control of how much salt you've got in there, how much sugar's in there, and how much fat's in there. So without using convenience foods, you've got yours ready. You can make, if you're on your own, you can make a batch of it, and if you can possibly freeze it, then do. If not, it should last a few days, and say you can mix and match it to what you want to do. Okay, so planning is really, really good, because I think if you've christened it, what I always call, if you've christened what you're having to eat, you've given it a name, then you can crack on then and just prepare it, because you know what's coming and you've planned out yourself what you're having. While you're doing that, you plan it all out, okay, and then while you're going through that process of eating it during the week, look at your portion sizes. Think, how full do you feel when you've eaten it? Are you eating to the point of where you can't move, you're stuffed? Okay, so what you need to do is just reduce that a little bit. We have apparently the brain stomach connection. There's about a 20-minute delay from when you've actually eaten something to your brain actually going, oh, okay, we're full now, we can stop eating. Well, by that time, when you feel full, you're already too full. Okay, so there's that little delay. So that's why, you know, a lot of people say have a glass of water before you have your meal and that kind of thing, so that your body knows that you've got something going in there, it can digest that and relax, and then you're ready. On the continent, they'll have a starter, so they have smaller meals than we do. So they'll have a small starter, a smaller main course, and with a gap in between, so that you're not overeating. So if you feel like every night when you've had your lunchtime or evening that you've eaten until you're stuffed, then that's not good. You need to eat until you feel satisfied and then wait, okay? And then if you're still hungry within half an hour, then maybe have something else, you know, a small dessert, yogurt, fruit, something like that. If you've made a nice cake, then again, it's fine to have that. You've made that yourself, you know exactly what's gone into that, and you're going to portion that out over the week so it fits into your currency. It fits into how much you have to spend on your food. You're not having it on top of your already consumed amount of energy for that day. So I'm hoping that this is making some kind of sense and giving you some kind of feel for where we're going to go with this. All right, so this week was really about you doing your diet diary. If you want to do another week's worth of diet diary and look at it yourself and see if you've improved it, or better still, look at the one that you've done this week, Look at if there's any gaps, anywhere you can tidy up, any habits that you've slipped into, anything that you think, well, actually, yeah, I didn't realise that I did that, and I probably do that all the time. And, you know, things start to twig with you. You think, okay, let's change that. Next week, you're going to plan, okay? So it's all about the eating patterns at the minute. You notice we haven't gone into much about what's included in those meals yet. At any point, I'm not going to set you a diet and say, eat this breakfast, eat this dinner, eat this tea. I might give you some ideas and things, and I'm going to give you a whole range of things that it's good to include into your diet and why. You know, like with the beans and, you know, increasing in vegetables, increasing in your salad veg and things, especially at this time of year. I know a lot of you grow your own, so you've probably got your little market gardens going already. All right, so let's get these eating patterns in place first, and then we'll look a little bit more nitty-gritty as we're going through. If you're happy with your weight the way you are, we can still improve your diet. So remember, it's not all about dieting to get your weight down. It's about your diet, as in, let's be healthy and do what we can to keep you healthy. Okay, so diet diary, planning, meal patterns. Okay, patterns of intake. Let's have a look at them. Identify the good, identify the not so good, see where we can change. Okay, so I hope that's been helpful for you, and I hope to see you again next time for our next exciting episode of Healthy Heart, Happy You. Okay, take care everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye.